Paul, as you know, Rugby Nats is all about promoting grassroots rugby. Tell us, when and where did this wonderful game first grip you?
Well, I started playing at school and played as a young man, but fairly poorly to be honest. But when it really gripped me is when I started coaching. I coached my son and you, and I just really took to coaching, and then that developed into management. And you're here today because of the Dames, and that has reinvigorated me really.
Before we talk about the rugby, I know one of your bugbears is tape, and I know there's a lot of coaches out there that will feel your pain. As players, we don't really think about it too much. Tell us, how much does this club spend on tape per season, and can you break it down per player?
Well, my budget for all of the medical equipment and tape is about 2,700 a year for the whole club. I've never actually worked it down to an individual, although our supplier says they did an experiment at a club in Oxfordshire, and a particularly needy player with training on Tuesdays and Thursdays and the game on Saturday worked out about 12 quid a week.
Interesting fact.
Interesting fact, yeah.
Stu Everton is probably the needy player here, is he? Anyway, moving on, Windsor Dames, tell us about the short history of the side.
A young lady, Kelly Ramsey, playing at St Mary's Twickenham. Couldn't get into the team but was loving it. Got in touch through her boyfriend who was playing for the twos at the time and said, can we form a ladies section? And she was pushing an open door, so we just sat round and thrashed about how we were going to do it. And we haven't looked back. They did their first year probation, which they smashed, got into the league for the second year, got promoted, marked time last year, and this is the fourth season going well.
Can you go into more detail of the setup? Is it a costly setup, and can you spare any advice to any teams that might be thinking of setting up a women's side?
Costly. Well, we provide a physio. We don't pay our coaching staff, so it's all volunteers. We've had to find money for a strip because I'm not a great fan in giving the ladies hand-me-downs from the men's game. So we've got a new strip, and actually I'm pleased to say that the strip the girls are going to be wearing today is a new strip with a new sponsor, Strutton Parker, and it's looking lovely. It's all laid out in the changing room. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's looking good. So they're going to be playing in that for the first time today. And time, it's one of those things that you have to allocate the time and find the time if you're going to do it properly, because they deserve it, because they're trying so hard and playing so hard.
Have you seen a change in the club since introducing a women's team?
Massively. The touchline just tells you that they always have good support. The girls come and watch the men come and watch the girls, and they've integrated so well into the club. Case in point was probably the World Cup. They got given a small budget and got asked to run a night during the World Cup, and it was a massive success. We had about 300 or 400 people down here, and they did all the publicity themselves. It was a barn dance, with the line caller and all that sort of stuff. But no, they really have integrated seamlessly and are an integral part of the club without a shadow of a doubt.
And the Dames, they're in their full season, and they just keep growing and going from strength to strength. What's next for the team, and what are the ambitions for the Dames over the next 3 seasons?
They were 1 point away from getting promoted last season, and to be fair, and I'd say it to them direct, I really wasn't that keen on them getting promoted. We need to establish ourselves and consolidate a little bit, because on paper we've got over 60 ladies, but in reality we've probably got 30 hardcore that are here week in, week out. So we've got like 1.5 teams. I want to build on that. I really want to build on that. I would absolutely love to have 2 full teams and a full bench. That's the objective, and I think getting promoted last season probably would have taken the edge off it a little bit. We had a little bit of a stumbling block this year insofar as the pre-season was poor, to be fair, and it took them 2 or 3 games into the actual season to be where they should have been at the beginning. And I think a few heads went down, but we're up and running again now. And it's a lesson, you know, it's an experience, a lesson that the girls had to learn. And hopefully next season, I think promotion is a very real prospect, without a shadow of a doubt.
Finally, I'm sure there's a lot of clubs that'll be out here watching this and thinking, we'd love to have a women's side. How do we go about setting one up? Is it expensive? Can you just spare any advice for those who might be thinking about setting a women's team up?
It wouldn't have started if it wasn't for social media. And the whole concept of social media frightens me. But Kelly at the beginning and Kate now and some of the others, it's the way they work and they communicate with social media. So my advice would be to embrace social media, because it didn't get off the ground by adverts in the paper or some weary little article on our homepage. It only happened because of Twitter and Facebook. So get a strategy together like they had, and go out there and shamelessly self-publicise, because you know the Dames are case in point. It works, and we've also we haven't had to, but I want to. We've got into place a sustainability plan as well. So it's all very well getting off the ground, but we need to plan for the future. And so we've got the damsels now, which are the under-13s, under-15s and under-18s. Only embryonic, you know, we've got, I think, sort of 15, 18 players, but we're getting there. And they are the dames of the future. And I think it's important that you do have a sustainability plan in place, because, you know, all you need is half a dozen players to leave or go elsewhere, and all of a sudden you're in trouble, you haven't got a ladies' team. So we have to have a plan for the future, and that seems to be working quite well, and touch wood, they'll be a force in their own right, the damsels, in the near future.
Well, it's always been a pleasure.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.